All right. Well, so I think Tai Chi is, yeah, we all have our, let me say, our dot. And so it's like the practice of, if you make Tai Chi a spiritual thing, then it's like there's always a bigger, I always think the practice then is just a way of enabling those bigger picture things. So, and being flexible with that. So, grant applications and,
Oh, right, yeah.
I think that's really important.
I know, it's like best intentions, you can't control life, right? So you just have to, it's all I can control is my reactions,
Yeah.
and they are going to take them with me and give you the time. You can go through this thing I spent weeks working on, and it's in the Tao, so it's the opposite than I need to do.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I guess when I think of, I mean, maybe this is just the basic nature of reality, but you having an intention and then you're being flexible.
Right. Yeah.
The same thing, Tai Chi, there's always a direction, but it's within that direction is a softness, even within the walk. Any questions from practice?
I mean, not really. I mean, I've enjoyed, especially the walking on different surfaces, like on the beach, and it was hard not to look down because there's some slimy things and everything. So I was like trying to like let it be in my sight line, but not. It was just interesting to try to control my gaze, right? And not multitasking, which is, yeah. But the sand felt so good, it's just so grounding. And it makes me think like I really want a little patch of grass at my house too, because it's all like, orgy weedy, grasses. But yeah, I mean that's been really fun is that just feel the different textures on my feet. So yeah, and also doing the motions, I've taken my laptop outside a few times and done the series. I can't remember the name of it, but and just like, and then sometimes the sun shifts or the wind or whatever, and that's kind of interesting. Is the context, right? Even though I think I'm supposed to be trying to tune it out, it's like still if you're trying to tune in, you are aware of those things.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Just kind of noticing the differences in terms of the environment you're interacting with them. Yeah, I think that's all good, and it just gives you, it starts to develop that, I mean, more of a resonance with nature, but also just an understanding more on a subtle level. We'll describe it as much now, but just noticing this feeling, this direction, and how does that make me feel on the inside?
I have a random question for you. Is psilocybin at all a part of like the Tai Chi practice, or I'm reading Michael Pollan's book called How to Change Your Mind. And I've seen some of the documentaries, and I'm going to this festival this weekend where one of the workshops is a talk on that. And I'm signed up for a guided experience at the end of the month.
No way.
Yeah.
Wait, is that on the New Hood River location? Okay. I don't think it was, so Taoists were, depending on they're different schools, but there were a lot of Taoists who played around with alcohol a lot and used that as a way to get into, I mean, it's called the spirit for a reason, right? You're invoking the spirits. Right. Yeah.
That was a terminology from Taoism? Or it could be druid. No, who's the other? There's a couple other.
Well, I mean, it's an English word, right? But I think
That's interesting. I never thought of that.
Yeah, and it's certainly in a lot of shamanic traditions, you're using a plant substance to kind of almost like sedate your own mind, and that's depending on how it's prepared, you're kind of resonating with the spirit of that plant, or the
Oh,
it
that's a
makes
good
you more
point.
receptive
I
to
never
the
thought about that. It's like fungi or whatever is like so interconnected. And so I think about that experience or the experience of being like brought into that. That's cool. I hadn't thought about the actual specific plant, like or grapes or whatever you're drinking wine or. Huh.
Yeah, there's a way to be humble, and it's like that spirit has, yeah, it's been around a long time, and it has something to teach you. You're in its, you're taking it
Right, yeah.
into you, and still there's, yeah, I think there still is like a place of you're still you, and there's still this other thing that, you know, is offering something
Right.
that you can kind of choose to the degree you want to interact. So I think the most wise terminology is to think of these substances as plant teachers.
Right.
And that's like, okay, maybe I've learned my lesson, or maybe it has something to teach me.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah,
I like that framework. Okay.
and certainly when my Tai Chi, the one I most respect, talked about these things, it was always the terminology of plant teachers. And Taoism, you know, a lot of herbal medicines aren't necessarily as intense as psilocybin per se. Of course, depends on dosage, right? I thought I turned that down. Didn't seem to go down. But there are traditions where you would work with a plant for 90 days, incorporate it into your meditation, and yeah, and then, you know, it's a more gradual kind of experience, but that deepens over time. Whereas, I don't know, I mean, I think any sort of intense, you know, psychedelic means mind changing.
Right.
And I think those are, yeah, depending on the experience, it just takes some time to really appreciate it. I don't know what you're specifically looking for. It's like really, you can call to this.
Yeah, I mean, I've been a mushrooms a few times when I was younger, you know, and I'm sure I could have a billion friends I could just get some from and do that. But I just kind of really fascinated with this guided experience opportunity and the idea that it's incorporating with music. And it's like sensory deprivation instead of like going in the forest and like being really creative, like that situation of by making it be more inward. And, you know, hopefully, I just know my brain is so complex. And I want to connect with parts of it that are dormant. That's the main thing for me. And have also, I'm like trying to decide what to do with my career. So, you know, there's things I don't expect to have an answer, but it's just like good timing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I hope I get to the insights.
Yeah.
that you're looking for.
Yeah, thanks, yeah.
Yeah.
I have no concerns. I'm just kind of excited, but, yeah, I think all this stuff fits together.
Yeah. Yeah. I, you know, I think nowadays, if I need to break through somewhere, I'll go on a long,
Nature
7
walk.
mile hike. Like really, but 7 miles is really just. And that seems to get me, I still have to do the work on the other side.
Right,
It's like sticking with that.
Yeah.
And then coming back, refreshing the inspiration. So I think that's just the piece of however you're getting there, then it's the question after that is how do you stick with the work?
right, yeah,
And then you get the value out of the experience.
yeah, that is the big,
Yeah.
doesn't matter if you do it, how do you roll it into your life, whatever you take, yeah.
And the old psychotherapists always were like, you should at least wait 6 months between experiences.
Oh, yeah,
For that purpose.
I'm only planning one, so we'll see. But what I like about doing it in the river is maybe there's a community, maybe it's about mindfulness and things like that, so. I mean, there's a lot of communities with that as a focus, of course, and a lot of apps and teachers. Anyway, yeah. I was just curious if there was any history of that with Taoism or related with Tai Chi, and it sounds like in other ways.
Yeah, no, I think. Yeah, I don't think it's, to my knowledge, they're not using psilocybin in particular. I mean, I don't know, maybe they were, but there are these other leads of musical incantation and long, meditations, we're going deeper and deeper into this space of ecstatic insights. And yeah, I think, I mean, for me, right now, it's more the nature problems.
Yeah.
Gets me to that place.
Yeah, I mean, I spend a lot of time in my garden and I just cannot stand being indoors if I can be outside and it's decent weather, like, but I have a very, I'm definitely ADHD and I'm a very, very active mind. And so that long hike, hoping to get some resolve doesn't always, I can't always still my mind, That's what I'm trying to train it for meditation.
Yeah, no, there's definitely it definitely is like it definitely the long hike requires like a certain why is this?
What is the gong supposed to tell us? Does it turn around?
No, it's just supposed to be but this app is supposed to have its own volume, but I think it's just only making it oh, is she on?
No, I don't know. I can't tell, but I figure she'll watch this.
Yeah, hey, I should have made a clear introduction. Please send in your questions.
It's the last day of August.
And unfortunately, I've rubbed the camera so many times that it just stays blurry.
You know what I did? My computer is such a mess and I tried cleaning it so many ways. Here's an Apple too, right?
Yeah.
And then I read online 70% alcohol, not higher, not 90%, or just like rubbing alcohol. And I did it on my screen and it's like new.
Okay, I'll try it.
Because the screens are not glass, so don't use anything with ammonia.
Okay. I'll try it. Now I'm, my one like doubt is that with the camera, it's almost like the fogginess is now behind the screen. I pressed it enough that the air bubbles have gotten in.
It adds like a dreaming quality to the show.
It does, yeah.
Just try, it might be worth trying.
I'll give it a try.
Yeah, 70%
Can't hurt,
or
right?
less.
Well, okay, yeah, I do think, yeah, the hikes need structure. So I always have like a time limit in my mind, like I'm gonna hike for an hour or something. It's like the class, okay, I'm gonna practice for an hour. And that creates a certain tension that then allows that spark of insight to start.
Right.
And then it's like, okay, if my intention is to be in my body, and if my thinking becomes unproductive, then I'm gonna redirect my focus into my, and that's what the
Yeah, it's the Tai Chi thing, yeah.
And then, of course, like I hike the Tai wall, and so I know exactly, okay, I'm gonna take this
Yeah, you know
7
your routes.
miles. Yeah,
So you're not thinking about that.
yeah, and I know it takes approximately 3 hours unless I'm in the dark. And I know that my mind will still get so deprived that I might actually need to check my phone.
Oh, wow.
But then I'll just, oftentimes if I, instead of checking my phone, I ask myself, okay, how long do I need to sit to like get my mind back to the body? I'll get another like 10 minutes, 5 minutes, so I'll just sit until my thinking becomes repetitive, then I know I've
It's ironic that going into your body is the mind opening, because you think it'd be the opposite, right? Like getting out of this human container and like being more expansive, but the reality is focusing on every small movement is somehow creating presence, and present state of mind is awareness, right? Something more.
Yeah, well, it's this idea of when you concentrate the mind into the body, what then it's like what you're connecting with wisdom. The
Right.
Chinese idea is
Because your body's energy.
yeah, well, and within by distilling the physical substance, we're becoming receptive to spirit.
Okay.
This, I don't know how to describe it, but it's almost like by giving the mind a rest and going to a deep place, then what comes up is more aligned with the wisdom.
Right. Yeah.
And it's just maybe you can think of higher quality thinking or more productive thinking. That's like, all right, when it's coming from that still place. And so, yeah, I think that's,
That makes sense.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I've had that. I have those experiences too. So yeah, I can relate with that. We'll just see what the psilocybin effect has when it's done with intention and depriving other senses and not letting me run around and, you know, make known villages in the woods or whatever, you know?
yeah. No, I
Oh, I
mean,
don't know what I'm doing.
no, however, I think maybe the bigger concept here that is totally relevant to Tai Chi is containment and sacred containment. And that's, you know, when I talked about this intentionality, the hike, you know, creating a containment. Okay, I know if I spend too long on my phone, then I break that container. But if it's just like a few minutes just to write something down, like that adds substance. And then I turn it back off.
Right.
And then
You don't write with pen and paper when you're hiking.
that might be better, but sometimes I want to record a video.
Yeah. Right. Or record a pod.
But that might be good too. I still would probably budget it because I know if I start writing too much, then it takes me.
And that's how you end up hiking back in the dark.
Yeah. Well, and there's also I think there's with writing, there can also be a trust that if I rehearse it enough times in my mind, it'll just I won't have to, then I'll just become that.
Oh, I mean, that's
wiser.
having a mantra. I mean, that's, a lot of that is just repeating it or rehearsing it or relating with it again and again until it becomes what you want it to be, right?
Yeah. So anyways.
Okay.
Yeah,
Make
no.
sure to answer the question.
No. But I do think that's the container is really important. So it's like, it is good. I think I talked in the recording.
About the container, yeah.
Yeah, and how do you even downloading this meditation app? And setting the timer so that it's okay, 5 minutes. So talking about containers. So we're gonna walk for 10 minutes. And then maybe a bit after that, I'll just come back here. And in that 10 minutes, it's going to be the same as last time. You're able to see the recording, right? Where the biggest priority, again, always the priority being totally present in the body, but the biggest priority we want to make sure is happening is that this lower body is totally engaged and the pelvic bowl is not getting stuck backwards, but is totally kind of tilting forward, especially when we're setting that front foot down or just a little bit after that. And then we reset, and it can come back. You can experiment with keeping it just straight, and that'll keep a little bit more tension there. And that's an option, but totally what's essential is that it's at least, at the very least, re-engaging at those times. And then after that, you can, if you feel like you got that, leave in the other principles, the smooth kind of movements. You can play around with the arms if you want. Maybe just this kind of gathering motion, or you can't even hold the ball. But again, first priority is this whole area.
A lot of things working at one time.
Yeah, so just get the low body. Oh yeah, well, that's not, again, that's not, you can add that later. I think the foundations are what needs. Good. See the, yeah, seeing it, it's being incorporated and,
Trying.
yeah, and then, yeah, I think things are, yeah, you can kind of see it, and then,
Trying to also think of that.
oh, yeah, yeah, no, that's, yeah, I'm still working on that. I think it probably is even easier if we were, on the beach or something,
Right.
and you could just stick
Look.
with the horizon line. Since in here it's constantly
I mean,
changing.
there are kind of line, wainscot.
Yeah.
But I do, like, I can think of like when I meditate and I'm sitting Indian style and I straighten where I feel like this whole thing is straight. It's easier to do when I'm sitting, I think. I feel lighter. So that's what I'm trying to recreate, but.
Yeah, no, I think that's good. Yeah, I think there's plenty to play with, so you're doing good. And then I don't think you need to think about this, but I've just been thinking about really extending through the heel. It's just another point of luxuriation, where
like
when you're
this?
coming out here,
Like
like I'm really, yeah, like I'm really, there's like a line, just like what we're doing, you described here, it's like really.
So it's not about pulling your foot up necessarily, it's about pushing your ankle down, or both, I guess.
Yeah, more about
Flexing.
extending through the, like, it's just another point of luxuriation,
Yeah.
say, where it's like, oh, I can really extend through there, and then, and then shift. I mean, it's just like here, I'm extending down.
No, I
my
love this
heels.
one.
But good, I think we can do maybe 5 more minutes to walking, and then I'm gonna incorporate the hands, but you don't have to. And I'm just doing lower dog. Hard, it's just so unnatural for me to sanitize it.
What do you mean there's not an actual organic?
Well, so the way I.
It breaks down.
Yeah, so. Everything can be done like a dog, right? It's not as useful from the martial art perspective, where you keep it small and drag out.
I really like reaching because it makes me feel good.
Yeah, so I think this is for health, it's really good. So long as, you're still like, I'm still grounded. This is more of the subtle.
Yeah.
Well, that's a subtle addition, let's say that's one of the last ones. But it does it can happen naturally, just. You didn't want me to see your,
Oh, I'm just trying to be beginner. Wasn't really usually not on the show, but
I think, so we might. I think we'll finish the form too.
okay,
There's all these nuances, but I think we can,
do the whole series.
yeah.
Okay.
I think in my mind, you were gonna finish by week 6, or maybe by week 4. I mean, as you can see the walk, there's so much to play around with already. I didn't really have to, obviously got one thing we're focused on.
Yeah.
But within that, it's like, once you get that, you get more easily.
Yeah, okay. It was easier to follow hands, in the sense like I'm trying.
Okay,
But I mean, I can't go on my own, but when I'm watching you on the video or following you, for the most part,
alright,
I know.
yeah, well, you can definitely see how much there's the struggle. It's like we're all different efforts, right? But there's the struggle of trying to release, and then the region.
Right, yeah.
So, okay, let's just go into the form. Do you wanna?
You're facing the camera.
Yeah, so maybe you can face me and then I'll.
Staggered. Lower
Yeah,
staggered.
yeah.
Oh, but there's my butt.
Yeah,
Hi, Chi Chi.
hey. So, yeah, we'll just do it this way. Yep, so we go right hand bottom, left hand, and just gonna bend the knees slightly. Just breathe. Press, coming back, send in. Then come to the sides. Very gently. To the right hand. Yeah. And then this hand, right hand, the fingers are extending like a ball at the earth. But this feeling of stability. With the right, white palm. And then we're right to the right, the same stability, stepping out on the left. Feel first. Thumbs to balls to the feet. Back from the heels. Side of the shoulder. And up energy. Heels sink down. Back. Falling energy. Here. Shift. Yeah, our water side. Hips. And this, you can always practice this part first, just without the hands. I actually recommend this because this helps you get your post while keeping your hips square forward. Or so in 15, then only the upper body. So you feel it right in the chest. Yeah, the extra stretch is shoulders are even you can see like shoulders. Even, but they're on a different plane than the hips, which is square in front. Check the hips. Do they shift or they still in front? And if my butt stick out, or is it elbow tucked down? It's going to make it much more challenging. But should feel it more in the front of the head. Yeah. Here, some wood. Still getting that body stretch. Here, I don't think I'm gonna need so we just done here. So then it must be that. Right? Yeah. Alright, so we're going 59 on the left. And then we're stepping out on the right. Good. And where are our hands?
At the chest and was it the center, right? And there's something.
So yeah, lower hand is with the solar plexus. So that's right. On the right. Solar plexus is right. Good. And upper hand, chest, and then through the way back.
Not where.
Yep. So we shifted the weight back, and now there's here's a mini movement called line and pulse ball. It's this. But there's variations. So here, and then and split. So now we're rolling the back. That's it. So known as surfer rides the wave, and this is where the palm links into the wrist crease. This hooks in yep. And there's amazing, all of these acupressure points are like for the internal. It's nice, they didn't talk about that. And then arms, and then it's like sliding over an ice block, and then the arms come down right. So that's warmed up. And then the hands are always going to be no higher than the chest. So if we're kind of at your throat, and I think I did a few recordings where my hands were too high, then we want to bring them down to the chest. Back. Weight shifting forward, press. Hands at the center of the chest. Separating here, last thing that happened is my heels of my hands down. Almost like separated somebody's hands, grabbing me, and now I'm pushing them back. Here, we're going to so my right foot's coming in. I'm shifting to the left. Now I'm shifting to the right. And so left, right, shoulder, elbow, and then my left foot comes in. And I form the crane sweep. This is another wrist grab. Punch you, pull it out of the way. And then here, get a step out into my boat. So there's a funnel, and then we'll single. Good. And here, this is the most complicated movement, but here my hand's not quite forward. It's almost like a karate chop down.
Like this?
Yeah, like fingers pointed up with an aspect. And it's a heel. It's martially, it's a heel strike, right with this bone case. It's like one of the harder bones in the body, and so. And also the energy of thunder, lightning. Here. Good, yeah. And here there's, so the arms are at 90-degree angles. And almost each pulling out slightly. So there's, I'm extending through this wrist. Yeah, I'm extending through the other wrist. My crane speak, this is where the clarity of the video. So all the fingers are together. And then it's just like a plucking motion. It's literally a wrist grab and you're pulling their arm out of the way. And it's called the crane speak. It's really good for the wrist. You're not the other person's wrist.
Right.
And then, okay. And then we're going to get from there. And here, this is where we're facing the front. I think this is, yeah.
Depends on how much you're thinking.
Yeah, so here we're just closing it. So we come out of the here, okay, and then we shifting back to forward neutral stance, and then we're coming down flat back, grabbing the tiger, and then turning to mount. This is the fire tree hiding stance. Getting a lot. Middle fingers line up, and I like holding each ball. Separate. That was the left foot. That was the left foot. And we can do that. You think we can do that a couple more times? Or do you gotta? Okay. So just so Gigi, you can see the crane speak. All the fingers touch, and it's yeah. And then this is the single width. I might record a separate video. Yeah. So here there's this extension through the arms. Full movement. It's kind of thing. So now we're gathering left. Right. It can be an extra shoulder elbow. And then single leg. Can be a lot simpler. Yes. But generally you're gathering left, gathering to the right, getting into your bow stance, single leg. Then grabbing, remember the name.
Control the tiger?
Yeah, grabbing the beach ball and returning it to the shoulder. I do think it should be good to, practice slowly and practice the setting, kind of like we did in the confession stick or auto session. Here, setting. Separate. And right hand here, stepping out on the left. First. Um, left.
It seems strange to be able to get a crane on one side.
Yeah, well, so the practice, when you get the form, you want to make it a whole practice, you can do 4
Oh, right.
in one direction, so facing each of the directions,
Ah,
and then do it on the,
opposite.
yeah, so then everything is opposite.
Gotcha. Okay.
So maybe if you only had, you know, a few minutes, you could do the form on first going towards the right and then opposite. Everything would be opposite.
Yeah.
So you do have to think about it.
Yeah.
But I can say, having done that, it takes effort, and then once you've gotten it, it's a lot easier.
Right.
And then you have that flexibility to train both sides. And actually, not a lot of Tai Chi schools are doing that. Yeah, they're just practice in studio, only one direction. Maybe it's just economy of time, but on your own, you're supposed to be doing it, you know, one side.
That
you-
makes sense to me, if you wanna feel balanced.
Yeah. Okay, let's do one more time and then. And I do think it's, you know, it's good, you know, I can tell, you know, I'm still not warmed up, you know, so when I do this first thing, it still feels, you know, like I probably could do the warm up. So it is good to do that, and obviously we haven't had a session where we could just practice. So okay, good. Good. Centering. Right on. Good. Stands. Single. 90 degrees. is still in alignment with the center of my hair. And I think we can grab a chair and just sit, probably just 1 minute, and then I think we'll be done. Yeah, I did one more, 1 second thought. Maybe that's more comfortable. Yeah. Or however it feels comfortable, you can even lie down on the yoga mat. And we're just gonna let everything settle back to center. Hold it there, do a couple more. Okay,
Yeah.
all right. Do you have a preference?
No, I mean, it's nice in the rain.
Okay, well, we can do a couple minutes more. And as soon as we sat down, I was like, oh, maybe I'm being over conservative. Maybe 5 minutes.
Let's do two.
Okay, 2 more.
Next time, I keep saying I'm gonna make, I do think 5 minutes is always a good,
Yeah, five.
yeah. But found more than that. It's maybe not super necessary, but 5 minutes is good. And I think, you could tell took a few moments to tap back in.
Right.
It's like there's that quiet.
And there's fly going around, and I was just ignoring it like a good Taoist or whatever, and then I had the thought, what if it's laying eggs on my arm? So then I couldn't let it be there anymore.
Then it's like, no, my arm, my defensive chi is strong enough.
This is my boundary.
Yeah, and if I relax, it's less likely to lay eggs in my arm. I mean, obviously, but if I relax, it's opening up the blood vessels and creating more of that defensive more.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it's like you have the thoughts. Speaking about psychedelics, this I had there it is,
Yeah.
a recognition at the Oregon Country Fair. And it was just based on the nervous system that, when I have an anxiety about a mosquito, then it's actually cutting off the blood circulation in the skin. My sympathetic
Oh,
activates.
is that why I get bit so much?
It could be. I'll just say I got bitten way less because I made a firm commitment in that moment that I wasn't going to scratch anymore. And then there was less suffering associated with them. And then also then less anxiety. Because it's like, okay, if I get bitten, I'm not going to make it worse.
Well, they say that, originally we thought it was like a blood type, but I think now they realize mosquitoes are attracted to our chemistry, which might be, it's obvious it can be influenced by our thoughts.
Yeah. So, and I think just physiologically, when we relax, that opens up the blood vessels and brings that warmth and nutrition to the skin. So there is.
Why are my hands so cold? How cold that is.
Oh my gosh, is that all the time?
Yeah.
Okay.
And but yet my hands will get sweaty at the front if I'm sitting in the hot room, but I mean, like, my extremities are always cold, my feet, my hands.
Well,
I just did this whole practice, so I was relaxed.
well, that's
Luckily mosquitoes don't like my fingers.
yeah, there are many etiologies of both. And that's a whole
That's a whole
one
other
hour,
class.
that's a 1 hour discussion.
I was just
Generally,
saying-
there's not either I don't think it's your case, but there's one where the chi is blocked and it can't get in. And then there's the other where the chi or the blood is not enough, so the blood get out to the extremities. And so those are the two things. But back to the practice now.
Sorry.
You can no, I just like it's a totally different world. So I think the main thing that I wanted to touch on when you're doing the practice, just remember the foundations. Like go as slow. There's no rush. You don't need it's not about getting somewhere. Yes, we learned all the new movements, but it's really more about taking time in each step to do it in integrity and letting that be the meditation versus just trying to get through and knowing that less is more. And that same rigor applies to really anything you want to do in life. Like a grant application, for example, needs to be done all the way through. And it's the same with the body. So it's like when I was last time we did the form and I was over here on doing the gathering the fire and water. Sometimes called gathering clouds. I compromised a little in that my hip was actually still swung back out a little bit. And so only at the very end did I remember, oh, I have to bring this hip down so that my leg is totally engaged and my back is straight. And so I think maybe that's the luxury of having a bit of a flexible class, is that you go slow. It's like when you're practicing, you want to be mindful. Like, let's settle the hip. Then I'm gonna turn, and then okay. And then it's hip square, and just kind of, it's not. If you think about getting the, you'll miss the relaxation. And so it's like really just one step at a time. And that's really why I'm teaching this class versus like a longer form. I do think there's benefit there too, but yeah, and I think there's so much richness in just the small foundations.
And it's rare that we get to focus on that,
Yeah.
in my work life.
Yeah. So, and that's what I think that's really the most important thing. So even if you don't, maybe we'll continue learn the 108, 24, short forms, right? But I think even if you don't, like, those are things that are, you keep, then any exercise, even hiking, you can even pay attention to the bottom of your feet, even the brisk walking, hold the hands and Tai Chi kind of way. That just makes walking more engaging, right? A little bit more present. And it's also the frame that contains that's.
Is there any Tai Chi way of swinging arms? Because I love swinging my arms, which I know is therapy.
No, yeah, so when they swing, you want to have the hands line up with the center line.
Oh, swing big.
Yeah, well, even if it's small, there's still like
Oh, the hands center line this way.
Yeah, center
of the body.
Yeah, or at least keep paying attention to yourself.
What I'm saying is not the center line like this high, but the
Center line of the body. So it's almost like you don't have, I think if you're so long as you're paying attention to the center line of the body, the hands could be on or off center.
The vertical center.
Yeah, vertical center. But I do think and then you also want to keep my hands, unless I'm doing Chen style, they're not.
It looks different on the pleasant screen.
Yeah. But we do, the hands, the palms can be open, relaxed like this. And then there's like a round release. Okay. Yeah.
Spend the weekend in the woods.
Yeah. Good. And then of course as much as possible, you want to still pay attention to the trunk. That's more of a life thing. But I think you can do that, and just even the hands and then the bottom of the feet. That's really easy to do even when you're walking quickly. And that'll link up the rest of the body. It's like that's the shortcut.
Okay, I love it.
And good. So good. Good class. Good.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
I'll do 3 for
teachers.
Okay.
And Gigi, if you have questions, please send them in. We'll get to them at the beginning of next class. Sorry, it's all blurry and a lot of side conversations, but all important, And yeah, I think the mosquito thing is yeah. And this.